American anti-war movement had a lot to do with ending that war. I truly believe that enough people in this country have learned the lessons of the Vietnam War, of the Iraq War, the war in Afghanistan, and the other unnecessary and illegal wars, that we can say loud and clear, we, the people of the United States, are here to tell the Trump administration, you may wage this war in our names, but not with our consent.
Oh, she's back. Yes, that's right. Hanoi Jane is back. And bigger and better and more fired up than she's ever been before. Good morning, everybody. This is Richmond's Morning News on NewsRadio WRVA 634 this morning, and you're going to want to comment, I guarantee it, on the James River Air text line. We read the best ones coming up at 6:50. Here's the number, 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. Jane Fonda is back in the streets. As Gary just had in his update, we also have, I don't know, what were they, Liberation of Social, I don't know who they are. It's the same crowd every time, back in the streets protesting against the United States of America and the attacks on Iran. But at the same time, you've seen videos online of Iranians here in America celebrating those strikes, celebrating the fact that this is a chance for their country to get out from underneath the boot of the Ayatollah. On one side, you have Iranian Americans that are protesting against the Ayatollah, and you have Americans saying, no, wait a minute, we shouldn't have taken out the Ayatollah. Let me get this straight. On one side, we have protesters here in Richmond, politicians, and Jane Fonda all standing up saying, no, this is a bad war. We shouldn't do this. No. They're standing up against Trump. Then on the other hand, you have Iranian Americans who actually have lived this experience saying, no, this is a good thing. And that's the reveal. That's the tip. That's the tell for you. Because here's what jumps out to me, okay? Here's what jumps out to me. The people that are out there in the streets right now cheering, waving American flags, waving the Iranian flag, saying, thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for trying to help the Iranian people get out from underneath the Ayatollah, are the ones who actually have lived under that regime, that have family that lives under that regime. You know, on the left, they always talk about my shared life experience. But then you see the celebrity class, the liberal class, the usual suspects that protest everything here. They just change T-shirts in Richmond. That's really who they are. And our two senators saying, no, this isn't good. That tells you something, because this isn't about lived experience. This isn't about reality. This is about ideology. Because if you escape the Iranian regime and you saw it weaken, you don't call that aggression. You call that hope. But in America, on the left, they always look at this through their lens of oppressed versus oppressor. And America's always the villain. Even when America does something like standing up to the Iranian mullahs and the Ayatollah who chant death to America, that fund terrorist organizations like Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, that have been waging war against the United States using proxies and asymmetrical warfare for 47 years. Even the people that funded the terror attacks on October 7th in Israel and all the terrorist bombings that we've seen, the IEDs, the explosions, all the rest of that, they still can't change that reflex they have that America's always wrong and we're their oppressor and we should stand up and everything America does is wrong because we're their oppressor, and they look to try to help everyone else they think is oppressed, even the Ayatollah who oppresses women in his own country. They killed 30,000 of his own people for protesting, raising their voices, where women wear the burqas and aren't allowed to go out and have no rights. No. They're not the oppressors. They're the oppressed because the United States is so bad and evil. That's what it is. Because when you look at these people and you go, what in the world are you thinking? I don't understand where you're coming from. It's because you and I don't have a Marxist lens in our glasses. They do. They see everything as oppression, oppress, oppressor, colonists, decolonists. The United States is big evil bully because they oppress everybody around the world, and everyone else should rise up and fight against these oppressors. And that's what Jane Fonda's doing, and that's what these people on the left are doing. Again, listen, on one side I have Iranian Americans waving flags saying this might be the opportunity for change in their country. On the other side I have Hollywood activists like Jane Fonda saying hands off Iran. It's the people who lived it versus the people who perform it. And that's what this is. This is performance. Ben Shapiro calls them theater kids, and that's exactly what they are. Take a listen to Jane Fonda out there rehashing the same argument she made when she was Hanoi Jane and she went over with the Viet Cong and gave aid and comfort to the enemy during the Vietnam War. Here's Jane Fonda playing her greatest hits. Her quote, "I can't help but think back to the Vietnam War." Folks, if your movement needs a 1960s protest icon to lead it, that tells you something. It's not new. It's not growing. It's not a return. It's the same people that have been pulling your leg and telling you it's raining, you know that saying, for the last 50 years. And it hasn't changed. Their songs haven't changed. Their movement hasn't changed. Their ideas haven't changed. They just keep repackaging it 6 different ways from Sunday. First it was Occupy Wall Street. Then it was BLM. Then it was no genocide in Free Palestine. Then it was hands off Venezuela. Now it's hands off Iran. And the more that you look at these people and you step back away from their rhetoric, you realize it's the same people with the same argument. They just change T-shirts every day. I tell you this, when I go down to City Hall and I see the quote-unquote activists out there, you know what? I recognize them now. It's the same group of 20 people that have different T-shirts, and they basically just go to the bathroom, change into a different T-shirt. Today we're against this. Tomorrow we're against that. And today I'm going to wave the Palestinian flag, and next I'm going to wave the Venezuelan flag, and after that I'm going to wave the Iranian flag because the oppressors are starting to get overwhelming, and we must stand up to the oppressors for the people. This isn't a whole movement, but it just seems like that. That's why I keep pleading with people. I keep pleading with you. It looks like you're completely outnumbered. It looks like you're completely outnumbered as a conservative. You're not. They just happen to get off their couch and get after it. You don't. If you were to flex your voice just a quarter of what they do, it would drown out all this nonsense and bring this country back to sanity. But unfortunately, we just don't do that. So right now, we let the loudest voices that are defending Iran's regime, and they're not even Iranians, they're American activists. And this isn't about peace, it's about identity politics dressed up as their moral virtue. That's the big difference. And for the people of Virginia and the people of Richmond, there are no superheroes coming. We have to stand up and make our voices heard. We have to stand up and make our voices heard. Because if you could bring out Jane Fonda, they're pulling out every bag of the trick to try to convince you that this is some immoral, unjust war. What do they keep saying? Illegal, unconstitutional, yada, yada, yada. And I use the word yada, yada, yada on purpose because what do they say during every other conflict we've ever had? From the Gulf War to everything else, illegal, unconstitutional. Every situation's different, but their arguments on the other side and their rhetoric is the same. That's because it's nonsense. It's not based on what's going on in Iran. It's not based on what's going on in Venezuela or anything else. It's based on their ideology that they dress up as moral indignation. And that moral indignation is meant to do one thing. It's meant to belittle your thoughts, silence me, and make you feel like you're out in left field and you're the only one who feels that way. Folks, I'm here to tell you, you're not. That's why I took this job. That's why I hope you listen to the show. That's why I hope you have other people tune into this show. We'll get your thoughts, 833-804-1140, 833-804-1140. If this was really about what was going on in Iran, why are the arguments exactly the same every time they trot out Tim Kaine, Mark Warner, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and now Jane Fonda? You could just take and cut and paste what they say and insert Venezuela, Iran, or whatever else, because the argument's all the same, even though every situation's different. 833-804-1140.